if an order like that's coming, maybe follow that order up the chain and figure out where the trader is.
That's where it should be going.
That's what should be happening, right?
Find the Benedict Arnold.
Find the traders.
Yeah.
You know, the people are the people. The people are innocent.
Totally.
So, yes, we'd like to encourage all police and military and anybody in intelligence to think twice about any orders which are unconstitutional, where you're being asked to go against the people that you were, trained to serve and to protect and defend. And if we don't protect even the weakest person, the oldest, the youngest, the disabled, if we're not there to protect everyone, then it's not a free country. And I think a lot of soldiers become soldiers, and a lot of people, join and become police officers because they want to protect people.
Absolutely.
Right? All right. We moved a long ways since the Roman Empire. Let's remain civilized, right? All right. Number 3. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. What does that mean to you guys? Any thoughts on that, Spencer? Sam, Sheila?
That's pretty straightforward.
What does it
No
mean?
soldier
What does it
shall
mean
in
to be
time of
quartered?
peace be quartered in and not be using your house
Yes.
for accommodation. So without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So
Spencer, how would you feel if we got a knock on our door and it was from the government and it was basically saying, okay, we've got this person in the army that needs your room?
I wouldn't like that.
Would you happily be willing to give up your room?
I don't know.
So that
I
someone-
don't know the guy though. I don't know.
Would you want to know why?
Yeah.
You would have to give up your right?
Yeah.
insist that he don't tell.
Would you feel comfortable in your home if you had someone in the army staying here that we didn't invite here, but
No.
the government just imposed itself upon us saying, we're putting a member of the army in everybody's house?
No, I'm not so comfortable with that.
Whoa.
Well, guess what happened? Guess why that's the Third Amendment? That's what was going on before the Revolutionary War.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, they were putting soldiers in people's homes, and they would literally take over the home.
See, that's not right.
Wow.
That's why it's in here.
I guess so.
Wow.
By the way, this is not a complete list of limitations. This is a good start. Okay.
Totally.
But it's a great start. But this is what the founding fathers agreed on, and that's why it got put into the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay, the Fourth Amendment. Sam, do you mind reading that?
Sure. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
I would like to get the opinions of the people in Guantanamo Bay on that, about their persons and their effects and their rights being searched and seized, and rights not being violated, and no warrants issued. If they were held in Guantanamo Bay, and even the Red Cross, there was no Geneva Convention, nothing, nobody knew.
Does that sound like a government of a free people? Or does that sound like an empire?
Sounds like if they can keep this law or this suggestion, you have free people. If they don't, then you have the opposite of that.
So like in the Patriot Act, it's literally putting into law
Tyranny.
tyranny. That's exactly right,
Yeah.
because basically it's saying that, oh, we don't really need to bother with probable cause. We can just, accuse someone of being a terrorist. Therefore, by accusation from government, you must therefore be a terrorist. Therefore, you will be dealt as a terrorist. And terrorists have no ranks.
No.
Okay, where does it say that here? That except for terrorists. Doesn't say except for criminals. It doesn't say except for terrorists.
Yeah, and there's plenty of, they violate this plenty in different ways, all kinds of different ways. Not just in Guantanamo Bay, but, yeah, I mean.
Did you guys ever see the movie Rendition
I did,
with Reese Witherspoon?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, it's a story about a guy who was coming back from a business trip, and he got whisked away at the airport by, I think it was CIA or something like that, and they took him out of the country, okay? And then they went on to torture him to try and get information out of him because he was what they felt was a terrorist. Not just a suspected terrorist, but they just named this guy a terrorist because of something about his phone bill. Certain calls that were made and the connections, Anyway, so they secretly arrested him. And by the grace of God, Reese Witherspoon playing the wife, she kind of figured out what happened to her husband because he just didn't show up one day. He was supposed to show up and he wasn't there. So she went searching for him and she started to follow little breadcrumbs to find out what happened to him. And in the movie, he was basically treated like he had no rights, and tortured for information. And it turns out that he was innocent. In the movie, he played the role of an innocent man who just, some pretty flimsy evidence was being used against him that to name him a terrorist. And when you look at the Patriot Act, the way they define a terrorist is so broad. Basically anyone that endangers a human life. So if you're jaywalking, you're endangering the life of oncoming traffic because they hit you. You could kill the guy driving the car, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's endangering life.
Yeah.
So I guess jaywalkers are terrorists now. So, these are the type of things we have to look out for. I mean, when the laws are so broad. I mean, you look at some of the laws that empower child protection services to come out to a home. They are so broad
Yeah.
that almost any parent can be accused of child abuse.
Very true.
And they will take your children from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most people are not aware of this.
Yeah.
And then when it happens to you, if the government comes and takes your kids from you, and you're a good parent, and you have 100 people that would back you up on that. But they take the kids first,
Yeah.
and ask questions later,
Yep.
right? All for the benefit of the children.
Yeah.
But again, when it's structured that way, it allows for a lot of abuse. And then you learn about these kids just disappearing. They enter into the foster care system, and then after they sort it all out, oh, I guess you weren't an abusive parent. Let's get your kids back to you, and then they can't find the kids. This happens. This is a reality in our society. It doesn't happen every time, but it happens. The fact that it happens.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention the trauma that they go through from that to A to B. Even that.